clogged, blocked septic sewer line drain. Hi guys, and thank you for stopping by. I'm going to show you how to use a Hydrojet high pressure kit, and I will show you why I'm not first using a drain cleaning bladder. This will be a tool review with my first time using this kit. Now, will it work, or will I have to shell out $1,500 plus? Let's see. Well, to get started, let me show you what we have. In a previous video up above my first dig, I dug up the lid for the septic tank, and it happens to be 63 inches deep. I have this cover on it because after I dug it out, we had 2 days of heavy rain. It was almost a swimming pool in there. So I'm trying to keep the rain out because I might have to go back in. Now, I had this septic tank pumped out, and that's a whole other story over there. I may do a review on that tank clean out. But after I had it cleaned out, we flushed the water, and water wasn't going into the tank. I don't know where that water's going, but it's not going into that tank. Now, from this tank to the house, it's roughly 33 feet. Inside the house, I used a hand snake, and I was able to push through about 23 feet, which brings me out roughly by where those flowers are over there. But now, I don't know if it's exactly where the block is, because who knows how it snakes as you're going through. Let me show you this Hydrojet kit that I have. I got it from Amazon. If you're interested in it, I have a link down below. Let's open it up. All right. Had it wrapped up pretty good. It's funny, I get electrical components mailed to me, and they're not wrapped as good as a rubber hose. These kits come in different sizes. I believe 25 feet, 50 feet, 75 feet, 100, and so on. I got that 100-foot hose just for a couple of dollars more. And the reason for that, I have about 75 feet to the tank. So I took into consideration the bends and twists that'll have to go through to get there. And plus, this has to be connected to a power washer. My main clean out is in the house. I don't have an external clean out. So the power washer will be outside, and this will be running through a window. Let's see what they give us. Now, it's recommended that you use a gas power washer with this and not electric, and it all depends on how bad the block is or what the block is. This is what they're giving us. We have a pointed nozzle. Now this nozzle, they have a little video demonstrating this. This pushes pressure out forward, but it also has pressure pushing to the back, and it's supposed to help push that nozzle through the pipe. It's supposed to make it easier for you to push it through. Then we have with this corner knot, and also it cleans out the pipe as you're going forward. This one over here, the mushroom, I'm not quite sure what this would be for, probably the same as that. And we have this rotating nozzle, which will clean the pipe out, the inside of the pipe, once you get rid of the clog. And you have these different connectors to hook it up to either your pressure washer directly or to hook it up to the gun. I'm going to hook it up to the gun so I have some control over it. And the hose itself, it feels like plastic. It's saying it's rated for 5,800 psi. Well, I don't have a pressure washer that's that high, but the higher the pressure you have on your pressure washer, the better this will work. Now it does say it's not for roots. It won't clean out the roots. For that, you'll probably have to use some kind of snake to cut through. And it gives you a couple of wrenches for your fittings. A little goodie bag here. Okay, they supply the Teflon tape, and these pins, from what I read on their site, is to clean out the nozzles if they get clogged, or when they get clogged. Okay, so we have these little pins. They're small enough I might be able to use my carburetor cleaning. Okay, here's the nozzles. This is the nozzle I'm going to use first. It has the pressure coming off the front, and it has these back holes for the pressure to push the hose forward. Because there are a lot of twists in there. Pushing that hand snake through, I had some time. I did remove one block and it just blocked up somewhere else. We have this fitting here. Okay, the way I see this going on, you have these other fittings. You know what? I thought this had something that spun around. Oh wait, here it is. Here's the one that spins. This is the clean to drain. After you have the clog out, this is the clean to drain. If you're willing to get down and dirty, and this works, it's a very inexpensive alternative to the $1,500 plus for somebody to come in and clean it. Yes, you heard me. $1,500, and that's a starting price, depending on what else they have to do when they get here. That's just to flush out your line. I was told it's not expensive because it's a two-man operation. So if this works, I saved myself $1,500. If it doesn't work, well, I got dirty. All right, let me get the pressure washer here and see how we're going to hook this up. Okay, we ran into a little glitch. According to these instructions, this fitting should be able to attach to the trigger part of the nozzle. Well, on this nozzle, when I took the wand off, I have this setup. I tried getting this off. I had an Allen wrench in there. No matter how hard I turned it, it didn't want to budge. So I didn't want to break this because this is a working nozzle. What I decided to do was just to put this on the end of the wand and use the wand. It's a little clumsier, but it's there. Then I ran into another issue. This piece would not fit into there. I had to modify it slightly. I had to bring it down a little bit to get it to fit in. Now it's in there tight, it won't come out. But before, it wouldn't lock in. I couldn't get it in there. So if you have this particular setup, this is off of Workforce 2500 PSI pressure washer. Nothing special about it. But 2500 PSI. I wish I had a little bit more, but we'll see if it's going to work. But anyway, this is what I have. Now, what I'm looking at is this hose is pretty coiled up. I'm going to uncoil this hose and lay it out in the sun a little bit to take out the curve that's in there. I don't want it all curved up because I will be working with this in the house, and it's a tight area I'm working in. And one other thing they gave us is this strap over here. Once you re-roll this, you go hook it up with the strap, and I guess it's a carry strap. It's another little plus. So I'm going to uncoil this hose, lay it out in the sun, go inside and show you the clean out that I'm going to be working this through, and explain why I'm not using that bladder instead of this. If you could use the bladder, it's a lot easier. You don't need the pressure washer. All you need is a hose and you're in business. So let me get this out into the sun and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I wasn't going to video this, but I thought it'd be a good tip. If you do get a long hose like this, or even a shorter version of it, you may want to do what I'm doing now, uncoil it before you use it. Does this look like it'd be a little difficult to use, especially if you're going to be in a tight spot like I'll be in. See here, it's all. This doesn't look good here. I'm not pulling on it tight, and the little bit that I pulled on it, it kinked. If this is going to kink in the line, this is going to be a problem. I'm just hoping the pressure from the pressure washer is going to keep this a little rigid in the line, because if it kinks like this, I'm not going anywhere with it. If you have a straight line and no curves, it'll be okay. If you have all the curves that I ran into, this will be a problem. Well, I can tell you this was fun. I don't see this hose holding the pressure that they claim it can. What I say it was high pressure. The other side here. a 5,800 psi. I don't see this hose holding that pressure. I don't have a pressure washer that has that amount of pressure, so I won't know. So I'm going to let this lay out in the sun, let it unravel the memory that it has, and we'll go inside and I'll show you where I'll be working with this. All right, the clean out drain is in this washroom. We have the doorway, the dryer. I'll be keeping the pressure washer outside and the hose will be coming through this window. And the drain is behind this door. So it doesn't give me much room to maneuver. Now, from this drain, I use the hand snake. Not one that turns, just one that you go back and forth with. And I was able to get it into that drain 23 feet. That just puts it just about outside the downstairs window. This is on the back end of the house. The septic tank is in the front, that direction. Once I hook up the pressure washer to the hose, then hook up this kit to it, turn the water on, start the pressure washer, we'll come in and see how we make out. I said I was going to explain why I'm not using the bladder. From what I saw and read about that bladder, it works best when you have it next to the clog. And I did read some reviews where that bladder exploded and pieces went into the drain. I don't know if the people pulled on it when they shouldn't, when it was still full. I don't know what the cause was. But that blockage is 23 feet that way. 23 feet. If I could, I don't know how far I could get that bladder in, because there's a turn over here and I think there's another turn that goes that way. So that bladder would be a distance from the blockage. And if I did get it in far enough and it did explode in there and the pieces broke off, I would have some time getting that out. So that's the reason I'm not using the bladder. And the reason I thought of the bladder, a friend of mine had a similar situation and they told him $2,000 to flush it out. He used that bladder. He said it took him several hours, but back and forth with the bladder, and he got it to work. But his blockage wasn't as far down the drain as mine is. So I didn't want to gamble with it. So I'm going to use this pressure washer with the kit hookup first. And once that cleans out, if it cleans out well, I might just leave it as is. If not, if I think I need more, maybe I'll get that bladder for another time. That bladder, they go anywhere from $12 and change to $25, depending where you buy them. All right, let me get set up and I'll be back. You ever have one of those days where it just keeps coming at you? Well, I had this hose laying out for a couple hours and I just curled it up over here. We're at the back of the house now. This is the window we're going to go in. I have it connected to the wand on the pressure washer. Okay. Now, this pressure washer, I believe I did 2 videos on this a while back. This was a dump fine. I got it running, put it away, then it wasn't running again. The carburetor gunked up. Now today when I went to start it, I know I put this away with no gas in it. I ran it dry, but it just wouldn't start. I think the problem I was having, I hurt my elbow and my shoulder a couple of weeks ago, and it's just on the mend. I just don't have the strength to spin this quick enough. So what I'm doing to get it going, I removed the pull start, and I'm using that drill to get it started. I tried it up front before I brought it back here just to make sure it would start. It started, it sprayed the water, everything was fine. So now on top of that, the hose, this is the back hose we water the chickens with. That hose is always connected year round, big mistake. Couldn't get it off. I have a video up above on how I had to take a hose off on the inside of the house, one that was on the wash machine for years. But this time around, I was able to get it out by using some transmission fluid. I sprayed on there a couple of times. I used these 2 pipe wrenches, one to turn the hose coupler and the other one to hold the spigot itself. The back of that spigot is a copper pipe. If you just twist on that, you'll twist it right out of the wall. Anyway, by going back and forth, it loosened just slightly. I had to use the torch. This is just a propane torch. I heated it up for, I don't know, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then I put these wrenches back on, and it gave a little bit back and forth with the twisting motion, a little bit more of the transmission fluid. One good twist, came right off. Last one I did, if you watch the video, I had to cut it off. So now what I'm going to do is to start this up, see how this sprays. The way it should spray is there should be 1 stream that comes out the front and 3 streams that come out the back that push this hose forward. So I'm going to get this camera out of the way Get my drill to start that. Turn the water on so I don't burn out the pump. Bear with me. A couple of minutes. Let me straighten everything out and we'll see how this runs. Well, it does spray through the back. It's spraying back this way and it got me good. Well, I don't know what the camera caught on this, but that nozzle did go flying. I hope it didn't damage my air condition, because it shot right into the air condition. The water actually burnt my arm. That's from the water, the jet of water coming through. Look at that. So that's a pretty powerful pulse there. I gotta check over here, make sure it didn't do any damage. This GoPro's made to go in water, but I don't have the side cover on it. And I burnt my leg on the muffler of the pressure washer. So all in all, today was a rough day. And I still have to get this into the drain to see if it's gonna work. Unless that's a massive, massive clog, I see this working. If this hose doesn't kink, I should be okay. I think what I'm gonna do is to get this into the drain first, and as soon as it starts kinking, this hose, I'm going to turn the water on without turning the pressure washer on. And then I'm going to measure, before I even do that, I'm going to measure like 2 feet, maybe 3 feet back, put a piece of tape on it. So as I'm pulling it out, when I see that 3-foot mark, I know to have them shut the water off so I don't get it in the face. Now once I'm in there, I'm going to need rags, because I'm going to put rags around the clean out so it doesn't blow back on me. A bucket under the clean out, so if it does blow black, it goes in the bucket. What else? Some bleach, clean up with, gloves, and a face shield. So whatever sprays back, if I have a little thing like happened now, at least I'm not getting the muck water in my face. So next step, open that window, open the drain, get this in there, and start this all over again. I'm going to have somebody out here to get this, to hold this for me and keep it going. Just a little wet. Anyway, let me get this organized and I'll be back to show you whether this is going to work or not. And say, why do this? As the day went on, I just kept saying 1,500 to 2,500, 1,500 to 2,500. Motivation just to keep plugging along. I already passed the 23-foot mark. It'll have a block and then it pulls itself. I think this might have knocked that block out. I have to put this camera down. This was getting stuck every so often, and I would just pull it back, go back and forth slightly, and you can feel it pulling itself in a little bit. There's still a blockage there, but the pressure washer ran out of gas. Didn't seem to be running that long, but I'm going to put a piece of tape on here just so I can measure to see how far in we went. So right now the water's still running. I'm going to let it run until I get to that 3-foot mark, and then I'll go outside, shut the water. My help had to leave me for soccer practice. So let me mark this up, get it out, and we'll see how far down we went. But I know it's not done yet. I was surprised on how this went through that blockage, because there were a couple of spots where this thing just wouldn't budge, and I just pulled back. I let it do its thing, and I went forward a little bit, back. Sometimes I let it sit for a minute or two, and then it just went right through it. I believe if you could hook this up to some hot water, it would be even more effective. And again, the pressure washer I have, it says, 2,500 PSI. If you had a pressure washer with a higher PSI, I believe I would have went right through already. So let me mark this up, clean up this hose as it's coming out, and we'll see what we have. Well, I'm back. I was able to get 20 foot of this hose down the drain. And what I did, as I mentioned earlier, I marked 3 feet off so I would know as I'm pulling the hose out to shut the water off. I wanted to keep it running as it was coming out to wash the line as it was pulling out, and also to keep that tip clean. There's the 3 foot mark. Then the first time I went down, I marked it off where it was plugged and I couldn't get by it. Came away from it for a while, went back to it, and just with the back and forth motion, letting it run, pulling it back, letting it run, letting it go forward, it broke through. All in all, I made it down the drain about 22 feet, I believe it is at that mark there, and I couldn't get past that point. So I thought maybe I still had a block. Anyway, I went down into the pit, I pulled the manhole cover up, I had my wife and Johnny flush both toilets and run the tub, and I never thought I could be so happy to see dirty rushing water come towards me. That water just came right through and it just gushed right into the tank. So I broke through the blockage. So to clear out my line, what I have invested is this $40-something kit, just under $50 for this hose and the nozzles. And this is the only nozzle I used. I didn't get to the other nozzles. And this old Workforce 163cc pressure washer. That's actually a dump pick, if you want to see the video on how I got this running. And I had this pressure washer for about 2 years now. So the kit, a pressure washer, saved me $1,500. And that was $1,500 just to start with. Depending on what they had to do, it might have been more. And I still have this kit if I get another blockage or if the drain seems to be slowing down. I will be going into the drain one more time at the end of the summer before winter hits, just to make sure that drain is clean. My wash machine, I have a screen on a basket to catch any lint that comes off. I did have trouble with that from time to time. It blocks up the drain, so I try to catch as much as that lint as I could. That's a tip that you might want to be aware of, because at some point all that lint going down the drain with a little bit of grease that goes down the kitchen drain, it'll clog somewhere and you'll have a problem. Not sure what was clogged in this drain. Could have been that, could have been just from when I cleaned out the septic tank. It wasn't cleaned quick enough and it was a backflow. But that's it. If you enjoyed this video or have any questions, post your comments down below. Give it a like, it does help. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe. Hit that Joe Z button. And until next time, stay safe.